There was a boy who hated losing more than he loved winning. His name was Kobe Bryant. From the outside, people saw talent. They saw trophies. They saw championships, applause, and bright lights. But inside, there was something else. A fire that never slept. Kobe grew up different. While other kids played for fun, Kobe played to dominate. While others rested, he stayed. While others laughed, he practiced one more shot. Missed shot, shoot again. Missed again, shoot until your arms burned. Because for Kobe, good was never enough. Not great, not excellent, only perfect. As a teenager, Kobe didn't dream of being liked. He dreamed of being unstoppable. He watched the greatest players obsessively. He studied their footwork, their timing, their mistakes. And then he asked himself a dangerous question. How do I become better than all of them? That question became his companion. Day and night, practice and silence. It pushed him forward, but it also began to take something from him. When Kobe entered the NBA, the world welcomed him as a prodigy. Crowds cheered, cameras followed, expectations exploded. But inside Kobe's mind, there was no celebration, only pressure. If he scored 30 points, it wasn't enough. If he won, he replayed every mistake. If he lost, he didn't sleep. Because perfection does not allow rest. Kobe trained when the gym was empty. Late nights, early mornings. While the city slept, the ball echoed on hardwood floors. Bounce, shoot, miss, repeat. Each sound was a promise. I will not be ordinary. But with every promise, something quietly slipped away. Friends stopped calling. Family moments were shortened. Joy became rare because joy meant satisfaction, and satisfaction felt like weakness. Kobe believed something deeply. If I slow down, someone will pass me. So he never slowed down. Not when his body hurt. Not when his mind was exhausted. Not when the silence became heavy. People admired his discipline. They called it the Mamba Mentality. Relentless, focused, unforgiving. But what they didn't see was the cost. Because chasing perfection is not just about what you gain, it's also about what you lose along the way. One night, after another brutal practice, Kobe sat alone. The gym lights dimmed, the seats were empty, the noise was gone, and for a moment, just a moment, the fire softened. In that silence, a question appeared. Not about basketball, not about winning, but about life. If I become perfect, what will be left of me? Kobe didn't have the answer yet. He picked up the ball again. Bounce, shoot. The fire returned. But the question stayed. Quietly, waiting, success came fast. Too fast for reflection. For Kobe Bryant, winning became normal. Championships became expectations. Praise became background noise. What once felt impossible now felt required. And when everything becomes required, nothing feels special anymore. People assumed Kobe was happy. Why wouldn't he be? He had the fame, the money, the legacy and motion. But happiness doesn't come from achievement alone, especially not when achievement is built on constant dissatisfaction. Kobe lived with a voice in his head. It never shouted. It never praised. It only asked one thing. Was that perfect? And the answer was almost always no. Perfection has a strange effect. It sharpens your focus, but it narrows your world. Kobe saw the game clearly, but life outside the game became blurry. Moments passed quickly. Conversations ended early. Connections weakened quietly. Not because he didn't care, but because caring required presence, and presence required stillness. Stillness felt dangerous. In the locker room, teammates respected him. Some feared him. Kobe demanded the same obsession from others that he demanded from himself. If you arrived late, he noticed. If you didn't give everything, he remembered. He believed pressure created greatness. And sometimes it did. But sometimes it created distance. Not everyone could live inside the fire. At night, when the world slowed down, Kobe's mind did not. He replayed missed shots, bad decisions, moments where he could have been better. Even victories were not safe. A win only meant, now you must defend it. There was no arrival point, no finish line where he could finally rest, because perfection keeps moving. And slowly, something else faded. Joy. Not sadness, but joy. The simple joy of the game. The joy that made a kid pick up a ball for the first time. That joy was replaced by obligation, responsibility, fear of falling behind, fear of being exposed. Kobe once believed discipline was everything, and it was. But discipline without balance becomes a cage. A golden cage, admired from the outside, but heavy from within. The world celebrated his mindset, but no one asked how much it weighed. One evening, after another win, Kobe sat alone again. The arena was loud earlier. Now it was silent. He looked at the empty court, the same court that gave him everything, the same court that took so much, and a thought surfaced, clearer than before. If basketball ended tomorrow, who would I be? That question frightened him, not because he lacked answers, but because he had never allowed himself to ask it. For the first time, Kobe realized something important. Perfection had made him great, but it had also made him incomplete. And deep down, he knew. Winning alone was no longer enough. There is a moment in every relentless pursuit when strength stops being enough. For Kobe Bryant, that moment did not arrive loudly. It came quietly, slowly, almost politely, disguised as fatigue, as frustration, as a strange emptiness that winning could no longer fill. Kobe had always believed one thing: pain is temporary, greatness is forever. So when his body began to ache more often, he ignored it. When injuries whispered warnings, he trained harder. When exhaustion asked for rest, he answered with discipline, because that was who he was, or at least, who he thought he had to be. But the body keeps score, and one day it demanded attention, not through fear, but through limitation. Movements became slower, recovery took longer, the margin for error disappeared. For the first time, effort did not guarantee control, and that scared him. Kobe had spent his entire life mastering control. Control over his craft, control over his preparation, control over his mind. But now, something was slipping, and no amount of perfection could stop it. During rehabilitation, the gym felt different, quieter, lonelier. There was no crowd, no adrenaline, no applause, only repetition, without certainty. He worked just as hard. But this time, hard work did not promise dominance. It only promised survival. That's when a dangerous thought appeared. What if I can't be the same again? For someone who built his identity on being the best, this was not just a question. It was a threat. In the silence of recovery, Kobe was forced to slow down, to wait, to listen, to sit with thoughts he had avoided for years. And in that stillness, something unexpected happened. He began to notice what he had ignored: moments, people, time. He watched games instead of playing them. He studied teammates not just as tools for winning, but as humans, each with limits, fears, and lives beyond basketball. He noticed how much pressure he had placed on everyone, including himself, not out of cruelty, but out of fear. Fear of being ordinary, fear of being replaced, fear of stopping. For the first time, Kobe questioned a belief he had never challenged. Is perfection the only way to be great? That question cracked the armor. Not enough to break it, but enough to let light in. He began to understand something subtle. Perfection had driven him forward, but obsession had driven him away. From balance, from connection, from peace. And maybe, just maybe, there was another way to compete, another way to lead, another way to live. The fire inside him did not disappear. It changed. It burned with awareness now, not just hunger. And that change marked the beginning of a new chapter, not the end of the Mamba mentality, but its evolution. When Kobe Bryant returned, people expected the same force, the same intensity, the same edge, and in many ways, it was still there. But something had shifted, not in his skill, not in his preparation, in his awareness. Kobe still arrived early, still stayed late, still demanded excellence, but now he watched more closely. He listened. He noticed when a teammate was pushing through fear instead of laziness. He noticed when effort was there, even if perfection was not. Before, mistakes felt personal. Now they felt informational, not excuses, but data. Leadership, he realized, was not about forcing everyone to burn the same way. It was about understanding how different fires burn. Some players needed pressure. Others needed trust. Some needed challenge. Others needed space. Perfection had taught him how to dominate, but understanding taught him how to elevate others. There was still urgency, still standards, but less cruelty toward imperfection, especially his own. Kobe began to see something he had missed for years. Greatness is not only measured by what you produce, it's also measured by what you preserve. Your body, your mind, your relationships, your sense of self beyond performance. He started to protect moments that had once felt like distractions, conversations that didn't end quickly, silence that didn't feel threatening, rest that didn't feel like weakness, not all the time, but enough. This did not make him softer, it made him clearer. Clearer about why he competed, clearer about what truly mattered, clearer about what perfection had never been able to give him: peace. And here was the paradox he finally understood. You don't lose your edge by letting go a little. You lose your edge by holding on too tightly. Perfection, when chased blindly, demands everything. But mastery knows when to take and when to stop. Late in his career, Kobe played with something new. Not less intensity, but less fear. Fear of failing, fear of slowing down, fear of not being enough. He no longer needed to prove his worth every night. He had already done that, to the world and to himself. What he lost while chasing perfection was not ambition. It was balance. And what he gained, by finally loosening his grip, was something far more rare: perspective. He understood now. The fire that consumes you is not the same fire that sustains you. And wisdom is knowing the difference. There comes a moment when the scoreboard no longer matters, when the crowd fades, when the lights dim, when the game gives you silence instead of answers. For Kobe Bryant, that moment arrived not with regret, but with clarity. Perfection had given him everything the world could see: titles, records, respect. But it had also taken things no stat could measure. Time he could never replay. Moments rushed. Feelings postponed. Not because he didn't value them, but because perfection convinced him they could wait. And here's the truth Kobe finally understood. There is always another workout, another season, another challenge. But there is not always another moment, not another chance to slow down, not another chance to be present, not another chance to simply be without proving anything. Looking back, Kobe didn't reject the fire. He honored it. That fire made him who he was, but he no longer worshipped it blindly. Because obsession answers one question very well: how far can I go? But it struggles to answer another: what is enough? Kobe learned that perfection is a powerful teacher, but a dangerous master. It sharpens your edge, but dulls your awareness. It builds legends, but can quietly erase the human behind them. What Kobe lost while chasing perfection was not love for the game. It was space. Space to breathe. Space to reflect. Space to enjoy the present without measuring it. And what he gained when he finally saw that was something few achievers ever reach: peace without surrender, ambition without fear, drive without self-destruction. This is the lesson he left behind. Not just for athletes, but for anyone chasing excellence, anyone afraid to slow down, anyone who believes rest equals weakness, anyone who ties their worth to performance. You don't need to abandon your standards. You don't need to dim your fire. But you do need to ask yourself one honest question: am I chasing perfection, or am I running from myself? Because greatness is not only about how hard you push, it's about how well you live when no one is watching. And in the end, the most important victory is not being perfect. It is being whole.